Dear students, welcome to the Anjuman's Biology for class 9 and 10. Today I am going to discuss on chapter 5, and that is food nutrition and digestion. And from there I have selected the topic is plant nutrition and deficiency symptoms. So what are the plant nutrients? Plant absorbs some inorganic minerals from the soils. Those are called mineral nutrients, and most of them are absorbed from the soil, air and water for their nutrition to ensure growth, development and to get energy. And this kind of elements are called nutrients. And if somehow any one deficiency occur in the plant body, then that shows some symptoms, and let's we talk and discuss on about this. What is nutrition? The process that involves in nourishment of the living body by association of some of the processes. What are those? Ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation and egestion. All together it is called nutrition. So for this nutrition, all the living being needs food. So what is the food? Food is organic and inorganic components that obtained from living and non-living sources for the growth, physiological activities and to get energy is called food. Today we are going to discuss about plant nutrients. That means nutrition of plants. And for the nutrition of plants, some of the nutrients are needed for the plants, and those are in number is 60, and most of them are obtained from the soil, and that's why they are called mineral nutrients. And among these 60 nutrients, 16 are very important. They are very essential. And why they are very essential? Because most of them are needed for the growth, physiological activities, reproduction for all type of plants. So they are called essential nutrients. And based on the amount required for the plant, these 16 nutrients are divided into two groups. Number one is macronutrients, that means macro elements which are needed more for the growth and development of the plants, and those are actually nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, calcium, magnesium, sulfur, iron, carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. Another group of nutrients, that is micronutrients or micro elements. Why they are called micronutrients? These are very essential for the plants, but they need a less amount for the plant's nourishment. And what are those? Those are zinc, manganese, molybdenum, boron, copper and chlorine. Now the question is, how do plants absorb mineral nutrients? You know, the inorganic minerals present in the soils, those are actually salts, and those are compound molecules, and plants root cannot absorb them directly like passive absorption. So all the minerals has to be absorbed by the process of active absorption. For that reason, all these mineral salts has to be break down by symbiosis into ions. Some of them are ammonium ion, calcium, magnesium, nitrate, potassium, phosphate, etc. Then root hair can absorb them when they are needed. Let's discuss about the macronutrients and their function and also their deficiency. What are the symptoms occur in the plants? Let's start with the macronutrients. And already said before, which kind of nutrients are macronutrients? The nutrients which are needed very essential for the plant but need in a large amount, those are called macronutrients. And one of them is nitrogen. What are the functions of nitrogen? Look here. helps in formation of nucleic acid, DNA, RNA, ATP, proteins and chlorophyll. So important, and all these contain some amino acid molecule. And what are another function is increase amount of water in plant tissue, and that helps in photosynthesis. And when the food is produced more, there will be more respiration, a plant will get more energy, and by the way plant will be healthy. So look at the picture. If the amount of nitrogen is less, then what happens? Symptoms. Stops formation of chlorophyll. So leaves become yellow is called chlorosis. That reduces plant growth. Why it turned into yellow? Because the chlorophyll doesn't produced in the right amount water needed for the plants. Look at the pictures on the left side. Those are healthy leaves, but these are not due to the lack of nitrogen. Macronutrient, that is phosphorus. And what are the functions of phosphorus? Helps in production of nucleic acid, phospholipids as structural elements for DNA, RNA, NADP and ATP. Okay, all these molecules contain a nitrogen base. For this reason, phosphorus is very important. Not only that, helps in elongation of roots. If the root is more, it can absorb more nutrient, more water, mineral nutrients, and those can reach to the leaves, and different parts of the plants can take part for the food making process. The plant will be healthy. So if there is deficiency occur, what will happen? Look at the picture. Are you seeing the color of the leaf turn into purple? Okay. And second one is necrotic spot in the leaves also visible. What is necrotic spot? Necrotic spot means some of the cells or tissues in between of the leaves die. So after death of the cells and tissues, that part turn into brown color. That means dry leaves looks like the spot of that part of the leaves looks like exactly like that. And for this reason, another thing is happen. Early shading of leaves, flowers and fruits occur, and plants become stunted because due to the lack of growth. Nutrient about talking now, that is potassium. What are the functions of potassium? Helps plant in water absorption, helps in closing and opening of stomata, influence in development of roots, flowers and fruits by cell division. That means first one is plant's water absorption. So in presence of potassium, plant can absorb more water from the soil by the root. And another important thing, if the potassium also helps the opening and closing of stomata. How it is happening? When the potassium letting the water amount in the plant is more, then the cells, gut cells in the stomata always stay in turgid. So if there is a turgidity, that is letting the opening of the stoma, and more carbon dioxide can enter and more food can produce by photosynthesis. By this way it is helping. And when amount of water is less, and then it is also closing the stoma, and no more water can evaporate through the stomata. Another important function influences development root, flower, fruits by cell division. Okay, you know the water is a universal solvent, and in presence of water, so many all the it's a solution for the cell cytoplasm, and it helps in cell division. And what are the symptoms occur for this lack of potassium? Leaves, tip and blade turn yellow with necrotic spot. Look here at the border of the leaves, they turn into yellow, and to the marginal places are turned into necrotic spot. What is the necrotic spot? I explained in previously. It is the cells and tissues start to die from the margin of the leaves and turn the color like this. Okay, and naturally ultimately the leaf will die. The intervenial chlorosis and scrotched in leaf margins. Scrotch means already necrotic spot, I already discussed, and apical and lateral buds become dead. So naturally, in absence of potassium, there is no water, so there is no cytoplasm. It is concentrated, cells become die, no cell division, and this kind of necrotic and symptoms are showed at the margin of the leaves. Another important macronutrient, that is magnesium. What is the function of magnesium? the one of the most important function of magnesium to synthesis chlorophyll, and if that increase also photosynthesis. If the amount of magnesium is less, the what are the symptoms can be seen in the leaves or plants. Look here, chlorophyll synthesis is reduced, that reduces photosynthesis and fruit production become less, and chlorosis in the middle of the leaf vein occurs. Now look at the picture. Right one, there is a healthy leaf and the amount of magnesium is adequate, and the left one, look, the low, due to the lack of magnesium, the all around the leaves turn into yellow, but the veins, it started from the veins, and these are the symptoms of lack of magnesium. Iron. What are the functions of iron? It is a molecule of cytochrome protein that helps in aerobic respiration for electron transport. What does that mean? You know, in aerobic respiration, 4 stages are followed, and the last one is electron transport channel, where it is occurring in the mitochondrial inner membrane. There is a protein which turning, that is the cytochrome molecule of protein, that this more protein helps the electron to produce in the membrane, that is letting the ATP production to helping in ATP production, and that is very important. Other there is the, if there is no ATP, there will be no energy and other cellular activities will stop. And what is the second function? Helps in formation of chlorophyll, very important. And what are the symptoms can be seen? Look here, young leaves, like apical leaves, that means young leaves are always present at the apical part of the plant. Young leaves become pale and yellow, and chlorosis in leaves, yeah, yellow, all turn into yellow due to the lack of chlorophyll. Chlorophyll formation stops, so chlorosis in leaves. Stem gets weak and short. Sulfur is another macronutrient. And what is the function of sulfur? It helps in synthesis of protein, vitamins and hormones. You know, the vitamins and hormones are kind of catalyst, and they helps other activities to go first, and it is also enhance the other cellular activities. So it's a very important sulfur for the plant, and it also maintains balance of water in plants. And what happens if there is a lacking of sulfur? Chlorosis is most in young leaves with reddish and purple spot. Look at the picture. Isn't the spot here seeing? Those are red, and around it there is also yellow color. Why yellow color? Due to the absence of chlorophyll. And here it is said chlorosis is most in young leaves with reddish and purple spot. So what is the second one? Tip of stem die. Yeah, naturally the internode becomes short and plants become stunted. That means internode means the gap between two leaves exhaled. So those become short, the lack of the growth. So plant becomes stunted. Carbon, one of the most important component of photosynthesis. That means without carbon dioxide, plant cannot make food like glucose. The glucose contain carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. So what are the function? Look here, they take carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and turn it into the sugars by photosynthesis. Yes, and it takes part in photosynthesis and produce sugar for plants. And if lacking, what happens? Stunted growth, plants take up less water or nutrient solution than the normal. Then when carbon dioxide level is low, plants are not able to photosynthesize efficiently and their growth slows down. Naturally, another important component for the plant is calcium. It is very important for oxidative phosphorylation. What is oxidative phosphorylation? You know, for respiration, aerobic respiration process completed following 4 steps. And last one is electron transport channel. That's another name is oxidative phosphorylation, and it takes place in the inner membrane of the mitochondria, where electron transport is very important to form ATP. So calcium is helping in that process. And not only that, it also helps in protein transport in endoplasmic reticulum. That means the proteins are produced in ribosome, then these are held by endoplasmic reticulum, and later on they supply whenever it is needed for other action of the plant. So symptoms are chlorosis in young leaves, apical parts, flower stems dry up and wilt, and growing apical part die. Let's talk about micronutrients. What are micronutrients? I discussed before. So the nutrients which are needed in small amount but very essential for the plants, those are called micronutrients, and one of them is zinc. So what are the functions of zinc? It synthesizes chlorophyll, protein, enzyme and growth hormones. Here the enzymes and growth hormones are very important. They are the catalyst. They enhance the other cellular activities. And not only that, it also helps in internode formation. That means the gap between two leaf axils. And for internode formation, plants growth also depends on. So what are the symptoms? Zinc deficiency reduces size of young leaves with white border. Look at the picture. The border of the leaves are white, and the left one leaf is healthy leaf, but the right one is not. It has a deficiency of zinc. The another one is plant growth is severely limited. Boron, another important micronutrient. What are the functions? Regulates metabolic reactions and helps in active growth in tips. Okay, look at the picture. So, due to the lack of this, the tips are dying. So, symptoms and diseases. Boron deficiency affects vegetative and reproductive growth of plants. Vegetative means different parts of the plants doesn't grow properly, and also reproductive organs are not growing properly. As a result, inhibition of cell expansion, death of meristem, and reduced fertility. Naturally, the meristem is dying. That tip of the plant is called meristem. That means it is dying. It turns into brown. Chlorine, another important micronutrient. What are the functions of this? It helps in growth of roots and stems of sugar beet plant. Sugar beet plant is the alternative of sugar. Mostly we collect sugar from the sugarcane, but this plant is also very helpful for the alternative of sugar, and it look like this plant is look like the radish plant. So what happens in lack of chlorine? Leaf molting, that means spot occur in the leaves, and also leaflets blade tip wilt away. That means leaf blades cannot hold them up in straight. They all wilt and fall down. And chlorosis also observed sometimes. And these are the symptoms of chlorine. Copper. The functions of copper are activate some enzymes which are involved in lignin synthesis. What is lignin? It's a kind of complex carbohydrate and is the part of cell wall of plant cell, and it gives the rigidity and support of the plant. So lack of copper, it doesn't grow properly. Also helps in respiration. So what are the symptoms in chlorosis of either the whole leaf or between the veins of the new leaves? Look at the picture. The whole tip of the leaves, all the leaves are suffering from chlorosis because of lack of chlorophyll. Okay. Another nutrient is molybdenum. It is essential for the fixation of nitrogen in the soil by microorganisms. What is fixation of nitrogen? You know, the inorganic salts are present in the soil. Plant cannot absorb them as a salt molecule. They have to break down into ion, and that job is done by the microorganism breaking down the salt compound into ions. Then plant root can absorb. So it is very essential for fixation of nitrogen because nitrogen is the main component of protein. So if we are lacking, what happens? Pale leaves with intervenial and marginal chlorosis and necrosis. Both are seen here. Look here. The yellow spot are due to the lack of chlorophyll, and the brown spot due to the death of the cells. And that is called necrotic. Both of the symptoms seen in these leaves due to the lack of molybdenum. Manganese. So helps in synthesis of chloroplast. Also helps in oxidation and reduction process in plants. That means in respiration takes part. And what are the symptoms can be seen? Intervenial chlorosis and on the young leaves. That means chlorosis occurs in young leaves. That means new leaves. Now let's know some of the terms. What are those? First one is what is chlorosis? It is the chlorosis is a yellowing of leaf tissue due to the lack of chlorophyll. Look at the picture. All the leaves are turning into yellow. And what is the reason for this? That is the lacking of chlorophyll. Another one, that is necrosis. I already discussed many times before, though I am telling you here, when a living organism cells or tissues die or degenerate, that condition is called necrosis. Look at the picture. All the spotted, brown spotted, those part cells or tissues already dead. So that's why this kind of spot occurred in the leaves, and this is called necrosis. Now see which elements are responsible for chlorosis, mainly nitrogen, magnesium, calcium, iron, uh, and sulfur. And for necrosis, those are potassium, calcium, phosphorus, boron, magnesium, and nitrogen. Let's talk about what is nitrogen fixation in soil. It is a process by which microorganisms take nitrogen from the air in the soil and change into other nitrogen compounds such as ammonia, nitrate, and nitrogen oxide. And these are very useful for plants and other chemical process because these are the ions and plant can absorb them and taken for the plant's body for other cellular activities. So what is another term that is called oxidative phosphorylation? That means it is the another name for electron transport system. What happens in oxidative phosphorylation is a mechanism for ATP synthesis in both plant and animal cells, and it occurs in the inner membrane of mitochondria. Thank you all for being with me.